Well, the cost of construction would not in itself be less. The cost of operating of a central library would likewise be approximately the same wherever the library is located. But there are some other factors that must be looked at also. First, the Carter Square site, in our opinion, does not have adequate bus transportation to it at the moment. If a library were built there, we believe that adequate bus transportation should be provided. Likewise, if a library were constructed at Carter Square, it would leave approximately 40,000 people that come downtown every day without adequate library service, and we would recommend that a downtown branch, I guess is a good name for it, should be operated there.
Mr. Gillespie, there's been a lot of talk and a lot of speculation already in this issue, and we'd like to clear it up once and for all. Has there been undue pressure brought to bear on the library board from any section or any group of downtown businessmen to bring this to a downtown site?
No, sir. There has been absolutely no pressure as such brought to bear on me, any other board of which I'm aware, and none brought to bear on the library administration. One thing I should say, since one always wonders about such things, that is that no member of the site selection committee nor any member of the board participating in the decision on this matter either owns or has an interest in any real estate anywhere within the vicinity of any of the sites that we've considered.
Excellent.
Once you've gotten a plea of not guilty, how long does it normally take to process it, and what's involved? Is there some problem with the prosecutor?
Well, normally misdemeanors are handled within between 30 and 45 days of the date of the alleged offense in this court.
Well, as president of the Left-Handers of Texas, I think you have some plans for the association. Would you tell me how you plan to enlarge the membership?
Oh, we're going to have meetings throughout the state. We had a spring warm-up down in South Texas at McAllen this year. We had another one in Houston. We're having the state amateur tournament here at Shady Oaks, and in the fall we're going to have a member lefty over at the Irving Country Club, and as you know, Pinky Tharp is the lefty pro over there.
I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with the complaint of Dr. Matthews regarding the delinquent tax notice. However, in the past, when a piece of property is sold and the new owner files a deed in the county, the only information we get is the owner's name. We do not have the address. We have a research department that spends 12 months out of the year trying to locate people when they buy a new property. The law says very clear that you should go to the tax office, render, and pay your taxes. We have two tax rolls. One is the rendering roll, where people come in and render their taxes. The other is the unrendered roll, which we do not have addresses on. I am sure that this tax statement went to the former owner. Very, very seldom do we ever have a former owner send it back to us and give us the name of the party he sold the property to. If Dr. Massey would come in and contact me personally, I'm sure we can work out this problem.
If you fail to act, we fear that the people charged with the responsibility of what to do about Ed Pope will interpret it as a sanction of his action.
As abominable as both things that this man is representing these people have done. That is, one of them has sold this filth that Mr. Poteet came and protested before us a couple of weeks ago. The other one wore the American flag sewed to the back of his breeches. As bad as that is, would you deny these people the right to counsel under the American way?
We are directly or indirectly sponsors of the War on Poverty program, which is connected with, however so remotely, the Legal Services Project Board. And we do have a responsibility, I think, to create this investigation. But be that as it may, the committee has deferred action on it until next week, and I think we shall see at that time.
What is so obnoxious about the man's body when Dallas buses are carrying a nude woman right now on the side of the buses?
Here at the Dallas County Courthouse, District Attorney Henry Wade promises his utmost cooperation with the city's all-out campaign against pornography. Mr. Wade's best trial records during the past few years ranges from out-and-out losses of verdicts in smutty book cases to federal court reversals of dirty picture prosecution. The record reflects the District Attorney's best efforts in the past have been thwarted by either strong defense or weak prosecution. What Mr. Wade's best will be in this new city endeavor remains to be seen, as he refuses to say, as he has a couple of cases now working. One feature of this new law is that officers cannot immediately seize evidence and impound it. They must now either buy the material in question or snap pictures of it. The evidence is then brought before a district judge for his ruling. It's then up to the judge to decide whether the evidence is questionable and should be seized. At any rate, the district attorney will do his utmost best with the city's best laid plans. Carl Mayo, Channel 8 News.
past, we have 35 fire inspectors that have been doing most of your inspection work, with the exception of your home inspections. Now we're going to have all of our uniform, all of our total personnel into this program of total involvement. The operational fire companies will make the inspections while in service by radio in their respective fire response districts. These companies will be readily available and will respond to any emergency received while making the inspection.
Chief Penn, do you have any explanation as to the great increase in fire deaths and losses?
We've had more density in population in a lot of areas, and we feel like that there have been violations in fire codes, especially in your apartment complexes, that we hope to, through this inspection program, to make frequent inspections and to eliminate these hazards.
This memorial, which has been created by the citizens of Dallas, is a very impressive tribute to the genius of John F. Kennedy, and the architect who created it has, in my judgment, lived up to the great traditions of his profession by creating an exemplification of many of the finest qualities of John F. Kennedy's personality. The freedom, the openness, the availability, the clarity of his personality are exemplified, I think, extremely well in this memorial. It's open to the sky, and yet it's planted firmly on the earth. It's open to people, yet when you get inside of it, there's a warmth that comes from the enclosure, the feeling that you're being held very gently within something, but you're not at all constrained. You're still free to come or to go or to reach the sky or keep your feet on the earth. So
My husband wants me to be in public service, and he kind of pushes me out the door. He thinks we have a much stronger and a much better life because we're both interested in so many things. I'm interested in world health and international relations. My husband's interested in marine biology and food from the sea. This is his business. And so through health and more food for people all over the world, we feel we're doing a little bit to help achieve a better world. A woman also has to be very careful if she has small children. She can't do very much in political life or public life. You have to take care of your children. You can't abandon them to somebody else or abandon them, period, because this is your duty. But my children are elderly, girl 22, boy 18, and a girl 16. And when I'm home, usually they're not anymore. But I think if all of these things, all of these variables can work out, a woman should express herself and should try to become more involved, either in her community or in her country's work.
Mrs. Black, do you have any plans to get back into politics in the eventuality that the Republican in your district is defeated?
Well, I'm very sure he's going to win. He did very well in the primary, and I'm sure he'll... In fact, the Democrat who's running against him has gone on a long, extended trip to Europe, so I don't think there's much of a race, frankly. I'm sorry I lost my race. I would have, of course, preferred to win it, in the special election in 1967, but I seem to be more interested in international relations, and I believe this is the road that my life is taking, and I'm very delighted about it, so I doubt if I would run for that particular seat again.
Do you think your campaign accomplished anything?
It taught me a lot. I think it accomplished quite a bit. I think, for instance, that the voting rules should be changed in our district when it comes to a special election, because in a special election in California, when the congressman died, this is why we had a special one, this meant that the people, that the Democrats and the Republicans could cross party lines and just vote for whoever they wished, and my district is primarily a Democratic area, and I did very well with the Republican vote, but I didn't get enough Democrats. So I think it should change.
Has your fame as an actress always been an asset, or has it ever interfered with your role at the UN?
It hasn't interfered with my role at the UN. It did hurt when I was running for Congress, because, not because of me, but because of the political cartoonists. I have a great collection of the political cartoons, but it was very difficult for the 563,000 people in the district that I live in to think of me as a congresswoman when they saw all these little cartoons of little Shirley, about age 5 or 6, supposedly running for Congress. It has not hurt me at the UN at all, no.
Do you feel that they do take you seriously now?
Oh, absolutely. I would very much like to go back and be a United States representative at the UN again, but that's another problem we have in our country. The representatives don't serve a second term as a delegate.
The eventuality is the panacea for the world. Since Cyprus and the Congo,
If who's under age 21.
Mrs. Black, how do you feel about having more women in government?
Fine. There's a problem. To be a woman in political life or in public service is like what I like to say what I do. You have to have a very understanding husband if you're married. And I think that's, well, I wouldn't want to be in public service. I'd rather be married.
An advantage to be a woman?
You have to run twice as hard to win an election, I'll tell you that. I think there's an advantage, for instance, if I had been a congresswoman, I don't owe anybody anything. I couldn't be bought off. I have no special interests, special interest groups that could persuade me. I would do what I had to do on my beliefs, and if my constituents didn't like it, then I would not be reelected. This is how I approached it when I was running for Congress. I also think women are closer to some of the problems of education. And I testified in front of the House Foreign Affairs Committee last February and pointed out that I thought that the taxpayers had made an investment in delegates, and that one year they just weren't getting their money's worth, because it takes a little while to know what you're supposed to do at the UN, and you have to do it quickly. And I was debating with the Soviet Union after I'd been there about 4 days. So I think it would be more appropriate to have at least 2 terms for a representative.
Why do you maintain that Mel Bradford is still the chairman of the Dallas County American Party?
Because he was elected by a county executive committee, and therefore the state chairman of the American Party in Texas does not have the legal power to depose him or to remove him.
Well, how did this happen? We have gotten information, and one group has presented this letter that says that the state chairman is removing him.
Mm-hmm.
Well, how is this going to be resolved? Is there a split between Dallas County and the state organization?
No, there's no split between Dallas County and the state organization. As far as resolving it, I don't know how it's going to be resolved. This has been attempted before by the same group of people, and at a executive committee meeting where these people had their chance to say their say, the county executive committee, in effect repudiated them and expressed a vote of confidence for Mel Bradford as county chairman. And I can't speak for them now, but knowing the feelings within the party in Dallas County, I would say that the same thing would happen were it done again.
Is this just a rump group that is consistently dissatisfied in your view, that keeps trying to depose Mel Bradford?
Right. That's exactly right.
What state is the American Party in at this point in Dallas County and in Texas?
Well, it's more or less dormant. We're not legally recognized as a state party simply because we didn't qualify by holding primaries in March. And as a result, the only people in the party who are legally recognized are the various county chairmen and the state chairman. So we're more or less at a dormant stage, although we're still active.
Can you give any real explanation as to why this rump group is so dissatisfied with your county chairman? Why have they been working so actively to get rid of him?
I really can't give you a satisfactory explanation of it. I don't really know their reasons. I know what they state their reasons are, but they've stated many things that have been misrepresented, and I really don't know what their reasons are.
Would you interpret this as a sign of real division and weakness within the American Party in Dallas County?
Absolutely not, because they're in a very, very strong minority. By strong, I mean that they're very weak in that they don't have the numbers, number one. Number two, it's a, I think, a matter of personalities rather than policy. And I really don't think that these people are against the American Party as it stands now in Dallas or the way it's operating. I think that it's a matter of personality. They will, I think, vote for Wallace just like I will, or the rest of the American Party will.
Would you explain once more why you feel that the state chairman doesn't have the legal right to depose your Dallas County chairman?
Well, the easiest way to explain that, I think, is to make an analogy.
Okay.
I think four is set up outside, so if we can get him step outside and make a statement.
How many statements?
Mr. Shriver, do you pay any attention to the parallels being drawn between you here in 1970 and Mr. Nixon in 1966 when he hit the campaign trail for Republican candidates?
Well, no, really, I don't pay very much attention to that, because the truth is that the differences are more obvious than the similarities. You must remember that when President Nixon was doing that in 1966, he had already been elected to the House of Representatives several times. He'd been in the United States Senate at least one or maybe two terms, and he'd been Vice President of the United States for 8 years.
What are your political aspirations at this time?
Well, my aspirations right now are to help, if I can, in the election of the kind of congressmen and senators who will bring a renewed leadership to the Congress as compared to the leadership of the executive. Right now we have a number of very well qualified people, starting right off with Ed Muskie, who I think made an extremely favorable impression, as he should have made on the American people last time. There's the former Vice President Hubert Humphrey, who is running for the Senate, as you know, and once he's back in the Senate, I'm sure he'll do a good job and achieve a great deal of attention and respect. And there are many others, Birch Bayh, George McGovern. My brother-in-law, Ted Kennedy, has, of course, declared himself out of it for 1972. But on the other hand, one never knows what might happen in the next few years, and he's got a great future, whether it's 72 or 76 or 80 or whatever it is.
Now, should Ted Kennedy change his mind between now and 1972, would you, under any circumstances, run for the Democratic nomination in opposition to Ted Kennedy?
Well, if he wanted to be a candidate, which he says he doesn't want to be, but if he wanted to be, I certainly would want to sit down and talk with him and see how I could help.